Good afternoon. Here I am again. I'm feeling inspired this week, so I have decided to do this theme of relationships, helping you to cultivate better relationships and understand your partners and yourselves better so that you are improving the quality of those relationships. And today I'd like to talk about a topic that is quite important because if you don't know this, then the chances are you will have a lot of unnecessary misunderstandings, arguments, and you won't feel loved, and vice versa for your partner. So, love languages. What are love languages? Where did they come from? And how do they work? How do you know what your love language is? And how do you apply this in your relationships? So, love languages is a concept that was, I suppose, discovered by someone called Dr. Gary Chapman. And he was a marriage counselor for many years, a therapist. And basically, he found that there were patterns, obviously, working with different partners and explaining the problems within their marriages and relationships. He basically saw patterns forming, just like all good therapists tend to do. They see these trends, these patterns that form, and therefore they can start to formulate, if they're that kind of person, new theories or tools in order to help people through those different patterns and loops that people get stuck into. And he discovered that there were really very specific ways that his clients showed love and also enabled them to feel that they were loved, which is kind of more important because once you understand your own preferences, then you can communicate those to your partner. The problem we have in most relationships is people don't know what their love languages and their preferences are, and therefore they are disappointed or feel unloved when the person in the relationship with them isn't displaying or doing those particular behaviors and gestures. So let me just explain what the five, because there are five love languages, are, and then I'll start to give some examples and you'll see how this kind of fits with you. So there will be physical touch, there will be words of affirmation, there will be quality time, there will be gifts, and there will be acts of service. Now, you're not going to necessarily just be one of these things, but there tends to be one that is your dominant preference. And then you usually have a secondary one that's pretty close in there as well. And then the rest, they're nice, but they don't necessarily hit the button for you, so to speak. Now, let's give you some examples then. So physical touch, pretty obvious. It's people that like affection, like to give it, they like to show it, they like to have it. They are very touchy-feely people, kinesthetic people, and they feel most loved when they have a hug or have intimacy with their partners. And that would also be, with family members as well, when they literally are huggers. They're the people that really do show affection towards the people that they love, and it's how that they feel loved. What about words of affirmation? So it's people that really like to be told, like complimented, right? You look nice today. Or they just like to be asked, how was your day at work? Or, how are you feeling right now? Or just be told that, what is it you love about that person? Or that you appreciate them and you speak to them and you tell them that. They like to be wooed, like they like someone that can express themselves, that write poetry. They like to read things. These kinds of people are very much, their preference is words, right? To hear it, to read it, to experience it, and to then, that's how they tend to give and show other people that in the same way. So quality time, it's about literally spending time with the people that you love, doing activities that you feel like enhance and enrich the relationship. So it might be going for walks in nature, it could just be sitting on the sofa cuddling, watching a movie. It could be going on holiday together. It's spending that quality time. It's not necessarily the activity, it's just being with their partner and doing things that you know, even if it's just being with them, it could be just that quality time. I have the time, I'm making the time to spend with my partner and enjoying that company. What else have we got then? Gifts. So that would be obvious, wouldn't it? But it doesn't actually have to be expensive, extravagant, and, you know, really unmanageable, and you have to like spend thousands of pounds on people. It could simply be that it's a thoughtful gesture, like you made a card for them, or you left you know, a little gift on, like a chocolate on the pillow for them, or, you know, you remembered what they wanted for their birthday, or they mentioned something and then you went and found this thing, or they talked about something from their childhood and then suddenly you found that exact packet of biscuits. You know, it's the thoughtfulness, it's the little gestures, it's the gifts that mean the most to that person. And it's that level of, you've put thought into this, you really know me, and you're now making me feel special by giving me that gift. I feel loved by you. And then the last one, then, acts of service, will be, again, gestures, but these will be more, you know, I've put those shelves up for you, I've taken the rubbish out for you, I've put gas in the car for you, I've taken care of this, that. It's those little acts of service that you do for your partner that shows you that you really care about them and you want them. Like, I've scraped the ice off your car for you, I've started the car, it's warm, all you do have to do is go in there. These kinds of gestures go a long way for those kinds of people. Now, the problem comes is that people instinctively believe that everyone feels that they have the same preferences as they do, right? So they tend to show that they love a person by doing the very thing that they like to have done to them. And if it's not what the other person's preferences are, they are not necessarily going to feel loved, right? Now, for example, you'll get this quite a lot where, you know, there's so many different ways of doing this. Like, imagine the guy is bringing flowers and expensive gifts, and the person's like, all I want is you to just give me a hug. I just want to spend some time with you. You don't have to keep spending lots of money on these expensive things. It's not important to me. What I just want is to be with you and have some quality time, right? Or it could be that someone is really not interested in physical touch, but the other person is constantly trying to be holding their hand and stroking them. I remember I was actually, my first girlfriend when I was 12 years old, I was a very affectionate person, and she literally stood up and she goes, just stop stroking me. And I was like, oh, I had no idea that it was like a thing, that some people just don't like affection like that. And some people do pull away, especially if they're those avoidant people that I talked about yesterday. You know, and same with my father, like, he doesn't know what to do with it. He'll make a big sort of joke about the fact, oh, come on then, take me now, and you have to go and hug him, and it's really awkward because he just doesn't feel comfortable with physical touch. And that actually is quite a common thing for when people grew up in households where their parents weren't very affectionate, they weren't very loving in that way. And so people grow up not being used to it. They don't know what to do with that kind of attention. Same for words, especially men of a certain age as well, where, you know, if you tell them that you love them, they can't handle it. Like, they're literally, I don't know what to do with that. And it's understandable, again, when you have generations of people where, especially the men, weren't told to use, like, talk about feelings, admit they had feelings, you know, any of that kind of touchy-feely stuff. So, you know, it's about understanding their preference. So in the case of my dad, again, his thing was acts of service. Like, he would say, oh, I've done this for you, I've done that for you. Or if there was anything that we needed, and it was important for, like, I wanted to learn the guitar, he got me a guitar, and he was like, this is an expensive guitar, like, this is the one you wanted. And, you know, but it's not just the expensive things. It also shows why, you know, he and other people, when they're giving you gifts, if you don't like the gift, you really hurt their feelings if you don't take it, if you don't like it. So to you, it's just like they're offering you a pair of trousers or something and saying, do you want these trousers or whatever? And to you, you're just like, no, I don't really think I can wear those. But to them, it's like, I love you. And you're saying, no, I don't really want that, right? So you've got to be a bit sensitive when you understand somebody like that, and know what's behind that. And actually, they don't even know why they're so deflated or kind of disappointed that you don't like what you've been given. So I guess there's a certain amount of sort of sensitivity around that, but you get the point, right? So to make a relationship work, it's a good idea for you to understand what your preferences are. If you're lucky, you will tend to get into a relationship with someone that has similar preferences, right? So if you're both affectionate people, then it's not really an issue, is it? Because you're going to show each other love in the way the other person also likes to be shown that. But if you're someone that doesn't naturally like to be hugged, then knowing that that's important to them, and even though it's not necessarily comfortable for you, but you've then explained what your preferences are, and both people are working on it and compromising and showing each other what they love. Think about your relationship as a bit like a bank account, right? And you're both paying into that joint account. So when you're kind of doing these gestures and you're building up a level of credit, then when there is a bit of a crisis or one of you messes up for whatever reason, because we're human, you still have credit and you're able to use that up. The person will give you their patience and their understanding and their forgiveness, as long as you're both paying into that bank account and keeping the credit high, so that even on days when one person has to compensate and kind of, help you through that difficult time or whatever it is, they're prepared to do that because it's a two-way street. If one person is paying into the account, and that's what tends to happen, and this is what's happened a lot recently, and a lot of people are breaking up, it's one person is not really contributing either with their time, their attention, their love, their gestures, they're not paying in with physical money or whatever it is. And eventually that credit runs down and there's no credit left. And this person starts to feel like this is only a one-way street, and they're gonna basically start to walk away. And they may sort of ask a couple of times, like, I'm the only one making an effort here. If this person doesn't change their ways, and what tends to happen is, I'm really sorry, I'll make an effort, but they don't. And it's just like, how many times are you going to go through this cycle before one of you then says, look, I've tried, I've done all that I can, you are the way that you are. And it's about compromise, but communication is the key. And no matter what topic I'm covering when it comes to relationships, it will always come down to, are you communicating? Are you explaining, either what your needs are? Because if the other person doesn't know, how can they possibly meet those needs? And you're not demanding it. You're not saying, this is what I need you to do. You're saying, this is how I know that you love me. These are my preferences. Hopefully now that you understand me better, we can now we understand each other. We can start to give each other what we need. And here's the thing, when both people are getting what they need, they want to give more. So the quality of your relationship so it might take a bit of effort at the beginning because it's not your natural preference. But when you start to understand what the other person needs, and you're giving them what they need, and their needs are being met, and they're then giving you what you need, it's like you're building something special, and it starts to feel like a really healthy, thriving relationship where you now love the other person even more because you feel loved, and you want to show them that you love them. You get the point, right? So that was love languages. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know what your preferences are. If you want to find out what your love language is, if you're not entirely sure, there are quizzes and things you can do online. There is that book. It's well worth the read. You can get that on Audible as well. The 5 Love Languages is what it's called. If you like this video, you found it helpful, give us a like, share it if you think someone else would benefit from it. And I will see you again with another video to help you to liberate your minds. Have a great day.